red mercury. The media just couldn't get enough of it. Apparently, this supposed mystical substance had the power to shrink nuclear weapons while making them exponentially more destructive. Crazy, right? I mean, most people believe it's pure fiction. But get this. There's been some serious research done on this very subject. We're talking about tons of funding and all sorts of studies aimed at creating dinky bombs. See, a typical thermonuclear device requires a ridiculous amount of crazy hard-to-get nuclear materials or big old explosives surrounding a bunch of tritium deuterium that then sets off the plutonium core. But with red mercury, well, who knows what could happen. Oh my goodness, can you even believe it? The idea that someone could create a portable nuclear weapon that could be smuggled across borders. Who even came up with that wild notion? Apparently, there was a growing desire for nuclear warheads among world powers and terrorist organizations, leading to the search for a way to transport these lethal weapons more easily. And get this, apparently some Soviet physicists claimed to have found a way to create a nuclear weapon using irradiated mercury antimony oxide, which they called red mercury. But here's the kicker. Most governments and physicists call it a complete hoax. Can you believe it? There's absolutely no proof that this mythical substance even exists. Even so, there are still some folks out there who firmly believe in red mercury, even going so far as to say it's a key ingredient in nuclear weaponry. One of the most prominent voices in this camp is that of Sam Cohen, who played a role in developing atomic bombs during World War II and later designed the neutron bomb.
I don't want to sound melodramatic, but red mercury is real and it is terrifying. I think it is part of a terrorist weapon that potentially spells the end of organized society. According
to Cohen, red mercury has the power to create a super deadly fission bomb that could fit in your hand, be totally undetectable, and unleash a slew of unrelenting radiation capable of wiping out tons of stuff within a half mile. With a veteran scientist like Cohen throwing his weight behind it, it's not totally insane to think that red mercury could actually exist. So there's this British physicist named Dr. Frank Barnaby, who's supposedly an expert on terrorism. And get this, he went all the way to Russia with some folks to check out this substance called red mercury. Apparently they found this weird mixture of mercury and antimony that had a reddish color. But they didn't see any proof of it being used for weapons or anything. Now, there were a couple of documentaries made by a British channel that claimed to have some pretty insane evidence about red mercury being a thing. But as far as we know, none of it's been proven. If those documentaries are accurate, though, there's got to be some groups out there who are working super hard to keep it under wraps and away from the public. Crazy stuff. There is a strange theory going around that red mercury might not have been a new substance after all, but just a code name for lithium-6. It has been suggested that the use of red was symbolic of the communism prevalent in Russia. Some have even speculated that the entire red mercury saga may have been nothing more than a facade, a means of deception within the intelligence war. With Western spy networks gaining ground in Soviet territories, the concept of red mercury offered a perfect distraction. Even though Western spies sent reports about research being done on red mercury, these attempts were useless. Despite no tangible results, the research continued to garner attention from Western spies. Thus, the project was prolonged as a means of observing and enticing the spies. The New York Times investigative journalist C.J. Chivers has blown the lid off a most nefarious scheme with his compelling piece entitled The Doomsday Scam. In it, Chivers states definitively that the oft-discussed and hotly contested red mercury is nothing more than an urban legend, a myth that false sellers use to swindle unsuspecting buyers of chemical compounds. This elixir, which is made out to be a cure-all for any criminal's need, has long been peddled on the black market, gaining a wide following among the easily duped. Even the terrorist organization ISIS counts itself among the interested parties. One thing is for sure. Red mercury is the go-to for arms traffickers who crave a substance with limitless capabilities. It's really interesting because there are scientists who don't agree about whether red mercury even exists, and if it does, what it could really be used for. Some really powerful countries have come right out and said it's not real, and even the CIA has publicly said that it's a myth. But people are really worried about what could happen if it does exist and falls into the hands of terrorists. There have been rumors about red mercury being connected to some really scary incidents, and some people believe that warlords and even governments have paid huge amounts of money for it. But as far as we know, those were all just scams. The crazy thing is that one of the biggest reasons people think red mercury is real is that the government says it's not. Thanks for watching.